I have a few new desk upgrades that I want to share with you all. This video is sponsored by Sihu. Let's get into it. First up, I want to talk about my new favorite mechanical keyboard. I think I have finally found my in-game mechanical keyboard. This is the KBD8x Mark III. This is an 80% mechanical keyboard. I had no idea how much I was going to love this keyboard when I ordered it. It was honestly, for me, I just hadn't put together a keyboard in a really long time, and this one was in stock, on sale, and I kind of wanted a green keyboard to kind of go with the studio here, but if I knew how much I would love this keyboard, I would have ordered it in black. I'm using the BC Keys HMX Golf switches here. These are linear switches. I've kind of been in this weird transition phase. When I got into mechanical keyboards, I loved clicky, then I kind of went to a tactical phase, and now I'm in this linear phase. Maybe I'll end up going back to clicky at some point. The keycaps are PBT Fans pastel gray keycaps. This whole keyboard put together, keycaps, case, I did a tape mod to the PCB board and put some extra foam in there. The whole thing sounds completely amazing. And it feels really great to type on as well. On the bottom, it has an extremely heavy weight bar, so if you're somebody that likes their keyboards to have some heft, this one has you covered. This is actually my first Windows keyless mechanical keyboard. By Windows keyless, it means if you look down in the bottom left corner and the bottom right hand corner, there are the modifier keys. Typically, you would have 3 on a Mac or an iPad. You have Control, Option, Command. On a Windows keyboard, the middle keyboard would be the Windows key. Windows keyless keyboards don't have a Windows key. I made a mistake when I ordered it. Kind of bummed. It's actually not that big of a deal, so what I did is I have Control and Command on the left side, and I have Option and Function on the right side. But if you are ordering this keyboard from scratch, there is an option to get a Windows key enabled version. Just make sure you select the WK option. I also customized the firmware of this keyboard using VIA. I added media keys, skip, go back, volume control, play, pause, a couple of macros and stuff for a few things that I'll cover in a future video. They're not quite fleshed out just yet. But since you're editing the firmware level of this keyboard, it works with both a Mac and an iPad, or if you're using a Windows computer for gaming or whatever, it works with that as well. This way you don't have to go in and set up shortcuts every time you set up a new computer or jump back and forth between computers. Now, this is a custom mechanical keyboard, meaning when you buy it, it comes in parts and you put it together yourself, and it's a little daunting at first, and the instructions for this keyboard in particular are not very clear at all. So I would look up some YouTube videos. I'm kind of bummed I actually didn't film myself putting together this keyboard. I should have, and I should have finally made like a how to build a mechanical keyboard video, but I didn't. Maybe I'll do that in the future. I don't know. But hands down, this is my favorite keyboard I've ever used, period. Between the switches, the keyboard itself, the weight, the look, I'm really happy with it. I love the sound. I love the typing feel. It's perfect. I will probably end up buying another one of these KBD8x Mark III keyboards because I want one in black to match my desk. But right now, the black one, the fully anodized black one is sold out. Apple sent me the M4 Pro Mac Mini to test out and review, and I've been using it quite a bit in the last couple of months. Now, I was working on a full review about it, but life got in the way, so instead I am working on a Mac and iPad workflow video about how the Mac and the iPad can kind of complement each other. It's not a Mac versus an iPad thing anymore. This computer is stupid fast. So it has the M4 Pro chip in it, as 48 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. The iPad is still my main computer, but I like to revisit the Mac every once in a while because I want to see what's going on over there. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening over on the Mac side, especially a lot of new apps like Hush, which is an app I use to clean up the audio for this recording. Whispered Transcription, which is an app that I upload my videos and the Comfort Zone file to, and we get proper subtitles, like really good caption subtitles, not the auto-generated YouTube ones. Like if you click that closed caption button. I think it's right about here, probably. Click that button, you'll see the captions, and they're significantly better than the auto-generated YouTube ones. Overall, I'm having a ton of fun just customizing and playing with a bunch of different apps on the Mac, and I have been using this Mac for a few different projects. I have Lightroom loaded up on it, so I've been editing some photos. I have Final Cut, so I've been editing some videos. And for Comfort Zone, we use a service called Riverside, and Riverside requires a Chromium browser, which won't run on the iPad. And I've actually been using Riverside's tools to try and edit Comfort Zone, and it's not quite there to the level that I want, but they have a lot of AI tools that are actually really handy and kind of speed up my edits. So right now, I'm jumping between the Mac and the iPad. So everything that's on my desk is plugged into that CalDigit TS4 Thunderbolt dock that I talked about in my favorite tech accessories of last year's video. This makes it really easy to make sure everything that I am using at my desk, so keyboard, monitor, all the other stuff, is plugged into the active computer that I'm using. This video is sponsored by Sihu. This is the Sihu Dora C300 Smart Ergonomic Chair. This provides dynamic lumbar support for lasting comfort. It adjusts based on your movement and how you sit. This way you're always getting proper support. It's not just about the lumbar support that adjusts to fit you. The backrest mesh design adjusts to fit your body as well. What I love about this chair is it doesn't require a bunch of knobs or levers to adjust. It conforms to your body. The headrest also has an auto-locking mechanism, so it stays put, but you can raise and lower it as needed. The Doro C300 reclines as well. This way you can lean back and relax, whether you're watching a video, playing a game, or just on a call. As you recline, the chair adjusts to support your body automatically. Like I mentioned, the Doro C300 doesn't have a ton of levers or knobs. In fact, it just has one. This adjusts the seat height, the seat depth, and the ability to lock the recline feature. The chair is made from a mesh material that is incredibly comfortable to sit in. It also adjusts the armrests, both height and position, or if you're like me and prefer not to have armrests, they come off really easily. I've been using this chair while I'm at my desk writing, editing, and if I'm being honest, goofing off. This is an incredibly comfortable chair. I have a bad back from a car accident years ago, and typical office chairs kind of start to hurt my back after a few hours, but I've been sitting in this chair working now, and it's been really comfortable. I'm going to put some links in the description below so you can go check out this chair. My thanks to Sihu for sponsoring this video. One of my biggest complaints about using both the iPad and the Mac was the Magic Trackpad. The Magic Trackpad is a great device. It sold me on trackpads. I was a beloved mouse user for years, but the trackpad just works a lot better with the iPad as opposed to a mouse does. But the issue with the Magic Trackpad is it is one device that can be paired with one device. It's not like a Logitech mouse or keyboard where you can pair it to multiple devices, which is something Apple absolutely should add. Because of this, I actually ended up with 3 Magic Trackpads, one for the iPad, one for the Mac, and one for the Vision Pro. 3 is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I don't use my Vision Pro nearly as much as I used to back when I started. It's kind of a bummer. So I'm kind of just down to 2. But then I remembered something. The Magic Trackpad pairs to whatever computer it's physically plugged into. So if you have a cable going from the Magic Trackpad to your computer, it's automatically going to compare to that computer. Well, I'm using that CalDigit TS4 dock as kind of like the hub for everything to plug into, and then I just have one Thunderbolt cable going to either that Mac Mini or the iPad. So what I'm doing now is I have a cable from the Magic Trackpad to the CalDigit dock always plugged in. Then I just move that Thunderbolt cable from the TS4 dock to either the iPad or the Mac. So that means whatever computer is plugged into my dock there is paired to that Magic Trackpad. I don't care that it's plugged in all the time. Having a cable run across my desk isn't that big of a deal. In fact, it solves a really annoying paper cut for me. It wasn't the end of the world that I had to swap trackpads. It was annoying that I owned multiples of them, but now I just have one and it goes right into the TS4 dock. I did order a really nice USB-C cable, like one of those really fancy ones for mechanical keyboards that I'm going to use with the Magic Trackpad, but it didn't show up in time. Like, it just keeps getting delayed in shipping, and I'm kind of worried it's never going to show up. So for right now, I just bought a cheap Belkin cable off Amazon that's just USB-C to USB-A, and it's braided. It looks fine. But at the end of the day, and I know some people are going to freak out about having a cable run across your desk, but not really that big of a deal. Plus, I have the Ugma Gather sitting on my desk, so the cable goes underneath it, so I only see a little bit of it. It's really not that big of a deal, and solving this paper cut is a much bigger deal for me than having a cable run across my desk. I recently put back on my desk my KRK studio monitors. These are the 5-inch versions. I'm going to put links to these and everything else in the description below, don't worry. I took these off years ago because I was like, the studio display actually has decent speakers built into it, especially for a monitor. They're good speakers, but they're decent speakers overall. I missed having really loud and very accurate studio monitors on my desk. Now, I could sit here and say, I need these for editing video and podcasts. I need to make sure my audio is absolutely accurate. And I mean, that's true to an extent, but if I'm going to be honest, I just like blasting music when I'm home alone. Now, these speakers absolutely sound amazing. And as far as studio monitors go, not bookshelf speakers, but studio monitors, speakers that require an audio interface, you can spend thousands on those and get amazing quality, like perfectly tuned. But what I like about these KRK ones is you're not spending thousands. They're not cheap, but they're right in that middle ground where like a lot of great tech accessories live, where it's like, okay, yes, this isn't the most expensive item out there, but these are incredibly accurate. They get the job done. They're loud and they sound amazing. It's that middle option that's often best for everyone unless you're in some weird edge case. Just like how for most people, I think the iPad Air is the perfect iPad, but if you're going to be working off of the iPad full time, doing creative stuff or something like that, that's when you go to the Pro. It's kind of similar to that. Now, like I mentioned, these are studio monitors, so they require an audio interface. They don't just plug into your computer. They have to plug into an audio interface, which then goes to your computer. I'm using the Universal Audio Volt 176. Now, I have had my eye on this for a while since my brother, actually, who is an audio engineer, he's done big gigs. He's the one that told me about this. He was like, get this, because what's perfect about this is a lot of audio interfaces require software, but this one doesn't. It's just hardware and a USB cable. So that means it works not just with the Mac, but it also works with the iPad as well. It has a big volume knob up top so you can control your speaker audio. Now, when you're using these speakers and an audio interface, the built-in system audio is actually disabled. So you can't control the volume from like the media keys on the Magic Keyboard or like even the volume keys on the iPad itself. They don't work. You have to use this knob on the audio interface. But it's a very satisfying knob to use. There are LED levels built right on top so you can see the levels of both the output and the input. I am testing this audio interface to see if I want to replace it with the audio interface that's here in my studio for recording these videos and recording my podcast. What makes this compelling to me is it has this vintage mode and a 76 compressor. What this is supposed to do is kind of give this nice analog warmth to the audio. It's supposed to simulate an older audio interface. I'm testing it out. I haven't made any decisions which way I'm going to go just yet. Again, this shouldn't be any surprise, but all this audio gear goes into the CalDigit dock. So that way, if I'm using my iPad, all the audio stuff works with my iPad. If I'm using the Mac, it all works with the Mac. Super simple. It's just one cable that moves over. Apple updated the AirPods Max last year, and the only thing they did was swap out the Lightning port for USB-C port. But I've been purging Lightning from my life. My girlfriend's off of it. I don't have any other devices that use Lightning. I even upgraded the Magic Trackpad to the USB-C version. I love the AirPods Max, but I am not going to spend another $550 on headphones that just replace one port. My pal Noah Herman recommended that I actually get this dock for the AirPods Max. The way this works is at the very bottom of it, there is a connector that goes into the lightning port. And then you just drop the AirPods Max onto the dock. There's a magnet, so the connector lines up. And once the AirPods Max are on the dock, they just start charging up automatically. Before this, what would happen is they would just sit on a headphone stand on my desk. And then I'd go to use them, and then most of the time they were dead, so I'd have to go in and plug them in and charge them, and then I would just end up using the regular AirPods, which now with this dock, I'm not using a lightning cable. It uses USB-C, but it's a dock, it's plugged in all the time. That's really not that big of a deal. But now my AirPods Max are always charged up, which is really nice and really convenient whenever I want to use them for listening to music, podcasts, editing, whatever. When the iPad Pro was updated to the M4 model, it got a redesign, and because of that, the internal magnets with it got switched around, and that meant my beloved MagFlott Pro didn't work anymore with the new iPad Pros, and I was very disappointed with this because I love that stand. But the new version of the MagFlott Pro, which works with the new version of the iPad Pros, is now shipping. This is a magnetic iPad stand. Now, full disclosure, Chargin, the company behind the MagFlott Pro, has sent me a few things in the past, including the previous MagFlott Pro. But I bought this one with my own money, along with everything else in this video, except for the sponsor. Now, what I love about this stand that no other magnetic iPad stands have been able to replicate is it adjusts vertically. But it adjusts vertically and it doesn't get too top heavy. You're still able to tap the screen and it's not going to tilt over or fall over or anything like that. I can use this to match the height of my studio display when setting it on my monitor stand. On its own, it won't match it because I use the tilt and height adjustable studio display because I'm kind of tall. But setting it on my monitor stand right next to my monitor means I'm able to have the two displays at the same height. Now, the MagFlott Pro also rotates, and I use the iPad when at my desk in a vertical mode. This is great for displaying documents, widgets, referencing scripts while I'm going through an edit or something like that, having my task manager open, calendar, things like that. Like vertical iPad monitor next to a landscape monitor works really well together. Even when I'm working at the Mac Mini, having the iPad next to me is really handy, whether it's for accessing apps that aren't on the Mac or having just a second display to reference information. I can use the Mac and iPad feature Universal Control to use the same keyboard that's paired to the Mac Mini to control the iPad as well. This way I don't have to get out any extra peripherals. Now, a nice little bonus about the MagFlott Pro is it also works with MagSafe iPhones. So if you're having like a conference call, video call, whatever, this is actually a really great way of getting your iPhone up to a good height if you're using your iPhone as the camera. Personally, I would much rather have clamshell mode in iPadOS and just close my iPad up, set it behind my monitor or whatever, and just have one display. That's actually my ideal world. But right now, there is no clamshell mode, and if you're going to use the iPad with a monitor, you kind of have to use the iPad screen because that's the only way you can get to things like Control Center, widgets, and the Notification Center. So those are the upgrades to my desk setup. I want to hear from you all. What are some updates, some upgrades? What have you done to your setup recently? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. My thanks to Shiyu for sponsoring this video. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great day.